Welcome to this edition of FM On Demand. I'm your host, Mike Pazalka. Today I'm speaking with Keith Stewart, Vice President of Marketing for Sodexo North American Schools, about the company's new FoodIE Café program for middle schools, which was successfully piloted last school year and is ready for rollout this fall. Keith, thank you for joining us today. Let me start by asking you about that pilot. Where was it done? When did it take place and for how long?
No, thanks for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it. So we did our pilot program in two places, Faribault, Minnesota and Norman, Oklahoma. While we had initially hoped to do it in more sites, obviously some changes in the pandemic made that plan not the one that we started off. We didn't get a chance to do the exact plan that we hoped to at the very beginning, but we do know that Faribault and Norman gave us some really great insights in FoodIE.
Well, tell me what you learned from the pilot. What parts of the program were especially successful?
So the pilots really gave us a chance to validate some of the insights that we had gleaned from the research that we had started before we actually created FoodIE Café. Today's middle schoolers are different than any middle schoolers before them. First thing is obviously they're one of the first groups of middle schoolers that have never known the internet. So while a lot of things about lunch are still really fundamental to the lunchtime experience, essentially lunch is definitely still about getting something to eat. And it's also always been about spending time with friends, because today's middle schoolers understand food more than any other middle schoolers before them. Again, their experiences are a little bit different. There's more interest in global flavors and healthy eating in today's middle schoolers. And we saw some of this during the pilot and some of the new items that they gravitated towards. So one of the really early hits was a new superfood smoothie bowl that the kids just ate up, literally. But we also, I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, I was just chuckling at them eating it up. But go ahead. Tell me about the adjustments that you're making to FoodIE based on those pilot results.
Yeah, right now we're actually not really making any adjustments, not very many significant adjustments, I should say. So I think that really means that we nailed it. So we're always on the lookout, though, for ways that we can create improvements to the student experiences. So as FoodIE comes to more than 50 new middle schools across the country in the fall, we're going to be creating a feedback loop with our schools community to give us a chance to adjust quickly and efficiently if we need to.
I was particularly intrigued by the role technology plays in that FoodIE initiative, especially the use of the So Happy app for pre-ordering. What did you learn about that aspect of the program from the pilot, and do you expect it to be a major component once the program is implemented?
Yeah, we do, Mike. So the FoodIE Café is a real world space, but it also doubles as a space for students to explore, as we talked about. So the digital world is someplace that middle schoolers today are infinitely comfortable. And some of our schools in the new FoodIE wave are going to have interactive content on screens that students can learn about where the food they're eating is coming from, as well as the world around them. We're also going to be working on a brand new microsite for the FoodIE Café that'll let students learn more about ways to engage, to volunteer, and again, those origins of foods that are so important today. And I'm really glad that you asked about So Happy. So the So Happy app has always really been about making sure that students and parents can be informed with what's on the menu and about the nutrition and allergen information that goes along with that. But as the pandemic has really sped up this idea that on demand is even more on demand than before, we know that pre-order is going to be something that they'll love. So we have pre-order in a lot of our high schools today. And what we know is that parents and students love pre-ordering because it doesn't just tell them what's on the menu for lunch. It can also help them planning for dinner. So students and families can order up to 24 hours in advance. And so that's a really great way to make sure that Taco Tuesday for lunch can help you avoid Taco Tuesday for dinner at home. Although who doesn't love tacos? So I'm all about having tacos twice in one day for sure.
Yeah, we are talking about middle schoolers.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
We are talking about middle schoolers.
Yeah, that's true, 100%. And so in that same way, we know that today's students, typically if you have a 20 or 30-minute lunch period, you only really get about 7 to 10 minutes to eat. So the other thing that pre-order really does for us is make sure that students can not just reserve that meal that they want, but get it really quickly and get to the experiences that really matter to them, spending time with friends. So spending less time in line to get that meal that you want and more time enjoying it with those friends is really what pre-order is about.
Sounds like you see a big and expanding role for pre-ordering in the K-12 environment generally going forward, especially as the pandemic has kind of accelerated some of that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So we've seen some of it in the retail world, of course. Some places have moved to an automat format where you can just go up and the thing that you order is instantly there for you. And there's an option to do that in pre-order. Other times it's going to be as simple as coming to a dedicated line for you. And we know as more students see that, more students will adopt it as well.
So the rollout, how will it proceed? I mean, what's the criteria for where it's implemented first, and when do you expect the full rollout to be completed?
So we've been working on FoodIE for several years now. And as our clients have been asking us about what's new and what's next, we've been sharing information with FoodIE with them. So that general excitement around bringing FoodIE to their middle schools is one of the first criteria that we're looking at. So as we look at the 50 or so schools that we're going to launch in with the fall, that client demand is really driving that first wave. Because we also have had the luck and honor to onboard some new middle schools across the country. We know that we want to open with our greatest and latest offer for them. And so that's a second big group. Overall, we, again, have the pleasure of serving more than 600 middle schools across the country. And we really expect to be able to bring FoodIE to them all in the next 2 years.
Sounds like a plan, and good luck with it going forward. Thank you so much for giving me a little time today to talk about FoodIE.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.